Dad's 62nd birthday dinner was at the Sterling Club, the kind of members-only restaurant where they serve $60 steaks and judge you by your watch. My family loved this place. They loved being seen here, loved the prestige, loved the way the staff knew them by name. I hated it. But I came anyway because it was Dad's birthday and some obligations still mattered. My brother Travis was already holding court when I arrived, his voice carrying across the private dining room. Closed the Henderson account yesterday. $2.3 million deal. Dad, you should have seen their faces when I presented the numbers. That's my boy, Dad said, pride radiating from every word. His firstborn son. His success story. The corporate VP who'd followed perfectly in his footsteps. My sister Melissa was there with her husband Ryan, both of them dressed like they'd stepped out of a luxury magazine. Melissa worked in pharmaceutical sales, made 6 figures, drove a Porsche. Ryan was a cardiologist. They had the house, the cars, the vacation photos in Bali. Everything looked perfect because it was supposed to. And then there was me, Jessica Park. 34 years old, dressed in black slacks and a simple blouse from Nordstrom Rack. My car was a 2013 Camry with 142,000 miles. My apartment was a 1-bedroom in a neighborhood my family never visited. I was the quiet one. The simple one. The one they'd given up on. Jessica. Mom stood to hug me, her Chanel perfume overwhelming. You made it. We were worried about traffic. Just got off work, I said, sliding into my seat at the end of the table. Always the end. Always the afterthought position. Still at that little consulting firm? Melissa asked, her tone suggesting she'd already forgotten my answer from last time. What was it called again? Strategic Solutions, I said, which was true. That was the name of my company. I just didn't mention that I owned it. Right. Consulting. She said it the way someone might say, cute hobby. Still doing okay there? It pays the bills. Just pays the bills? Travis laughed, swirling his bourbon. Come on, Jess. You're 34. Shouldn't you be doing more than just surviving? Travis, Mom said softly, but she didn't actually disagree. What? I'm just saying. Look at us. Travis gestured around the table. Melissa's crushing it in pharma sales. Ryan's one of the top cardiologists in the city. I just got promoted to senior VP at Morrison & Clark. We're all building something. And Jess is consulting. There's nothing wrong with consulting, Dad said, but his voice lacked conviction. He'd built his own consulting empire 30 years ago, sold it for $40 million and retired at 55. In his mind, consulting meant 7 figures and corner offices. My version didn't match his vision. Of course there's nothing wrong with it, Travis continued, his voice taking on that patronizing tone I'd heard for years. But let's be honest. Jessica has always been different. She's not driven like the rest of us. She's content with less. I wouldn't say I'm content with less, I said quietly. Then what would you say? Melissa leaned forward, genuinely curious. Because Jess, we're worried about you. You're in your 30s, still renting, still driving that old car, still working at some small firm. Don't you want more? I have what I need. What you need isn't the same as what you could have, Dad said. He meant it kindly in his way. You're my daughter. You have potential. But you've never pushed yourself. Never taken risks. Never really tried. I'd heard variations of this my entire life. Because success to them looked loud. It looked like Travis's corner office and Melissa's Porsche and Dad's country club membership. Success was visible, measurable, something you could brag about at dinner parties. My success was quiet. Invisible. Built carefully over 12 years while they assumed I was barely getting by. I've taken risks, I said. Like what? Travis challenged. Name one real risk you've taken. I could have told them. Could have listed the properties I'd bought, the companies I'd acquired. The portfolio I'd built that was now worth more than all their assets combined. But I'd learned years ago that they didn't want to hear it. They wanted their narrative, successful siblings, struggling sister, because it made them feel better about themselves. It doesn't matter, I said. See. Travis looked at Dad. This is what I mean. No ambition. No drive. She's accepted mediocrity. I haven't accepted anything. Then why are you still working at a firm no one's ever heard of? Why don't you have a retirement plan? Why don't you own property? He was on a roll now, warming to his topic. Let's be honest, Jessica is the family charity case. We all know it. We all tiptoe around it. But maybe if we just said it out loud we could actually help her. The table went silent. Mom looked uncomfortable. Dad was nodding slowly like Travis had said something profound. Melissa exchanged a look with Ryan and I knew they'd discussed this before. Poor Jessica. What are we going to do about Jessica? I don't need help, I said. Everyone needs help sometimes, Mom said gently. Honey, we're not saying this to be cruel. We love you. But Travis is right. You've been struggling for years and we've been enabling it by not addressing it directly. I'm not struggling. You are though, Melissa said. Jessica, you can barely afford to go out with us. You never travel. You shop at discount stores. You're living paycheck to paycheck, admit it. I'm not living paycheck to. It's okay to admit you need help, Dad interrupted. That's what family is for. In fact, we've been talking and we have a proposal. Oh no. I knew what was coming. Travis has a contact at Morrison & Clark, Dad continued. Entry-level position in their consulting division. It's not glamorous but it's stable. Health insurance for 401k the works. Salary is $65,000 to start. I don't need. Just hear us out, Travis said. I'd be your direct supervisor, which means I could mentor you. Teach you what real consulting looks like. Help you build an actual career instead of whatever you've been doing. What I've been doing is. We know. Small clients, tiny projects. But Jess, it's time to think bigger. Time to join the adults. I've already put in a word for you. They're expecting your resume next week. I'm not sending them my resume. Why not? Melissa asked, frustration creeping into her voice. Why are you so stubborn about accepting help? Do you enjoy struggling? Do you like being the sister everyone worries about? I'm not the sister everyone worries about. I'm the sister everyone condescends to. That's not fair, Mom said. Isn't it? You just called me the family charity case. Because you are. Travis said, his voice rising. Just look at yourself. Look at your life. You have nothing. No house, no savings, no real career. At some point you have to face reality. You need help. We're offering it. Take it. My phone rang. Perfect timing. I glanced at the screen. David Chin, my business partner and the CFO of Strategic Solutions. The man who'd been working with me for the past 6 years to build something extraordinary. I need to take this, I said, standing. During Dad's birthday dinner? Melissa's voice dripped with disapproval. It's important. More important than family? Dad asked. Apparently yes, Travis muttered. Typical Jessica. Can't even put her phone away for one dinner. I walked to the restaurant's entrance, far enough away that they couldn't hear me clearly. David, hi. Jessica. Congratulations. His voice was loud, excited. The Morrison & Clark acquisition just finalized. All paperwork is signed, funds are transferred, board has approved everything. You now own 85% of Morrison & Clark. $180 million acquisition complete. You're officially the majority owner of one of the largest consulting firms in the country. Morrison & Clark. Travis's company. The firm where my brother was senior VP, where he'd just been promoted, where he thought he was building his legacy. The company I just bought. The transition team is ready, David continued. We'll announce the ownership change Monday morning. I've already drafted the press release. Strategic Solutions, led by founder and CEO Jessica Park, acquires Morrison & Clark in landmark $180 million deal. This is huge, Jessica. This puts us in the top 5 consulting firms nationally. Your portfolio is now worth $340 million. You're one of the most successful businesswomen in the state. Thank you, David. Can we discuss details tomorrow? Of course. Sorry, I'm just excited. This is the biggest acquisition we've ever done. 12 years of building Strategic Solutions and now this. You should be proud. I am. Talk tomorrow. I hung up and stood there for a moment looking back at the private dining room. At my family still sitting at the table, probably discussing my rudeness and taking a call. Still thinking of me as the charity case. Still believing I had nothing. I walked back to the table and sat down. Every eye was on me. Sorry about that, I said calmly. Important business call. Business call. Travis scoffed. What kind of business are you doing that can't wait an hour? The kind that involves $180 million acquisitions. The table went silent. What? Melissa said. That was my business partner, congratulating me on finalizing a deal. We just acquired a company. $180 million purchase price. You're joking, Travis said flatly. I'm not. Strategic Solutions, that little consulting firm you've never heard of? I own it. I founded it 12 years ago. We specialize in corporate acquisitions and restructuring. We've been growing steadily, building a portfolio. Today we closed on our largest acquisition yet. This is ridiculous, Travis said, but his voice wavered slightly. It's not ridiculous. It's business. The company we acquired has about 800 employees, operates in 15 states, and generates approximately $290 million in annual revenue. It's a major player in the consulting industry. You might have heard of it, actually. Morrison & Clark. Travis's face drained of all color. You're lying. I'm not. Morrison & Clark was struggling financially. Management issues, client retention problems, operational inefficiencies. They were looking for a buyer. We made an offer 3 months ago. They accepted. As of 4 p.m. today, the acquisition is complete. Strategic Solutions now owns 85% of Morrison & Clark. That's impossible, Travis whispered. You can't own Morrison & Clark. That's my company. That's where I work. I know where you work. That's actually one of the reasons we wanted to acquire it. Good talent pool, including several executives who I'm told are quite competent. I looked directly at him. Though I heard they recently had to let go of their senior VP. Something about a client complaint and mismanaged accounts? Unfortunate timing for him. Travis had gone from pale to gray. I wasn't fired. I resigned. Did you? The severance package we're honoring suggests otherwise. But we can call it a resignation if that makes you feel better. You're saying... He could barely get the words out. You're saying you own the company that fired me. I own the company you no longer work for, yes. And actually, I reviewed your file personally. The Henderson account you mentioned earlier. The $2.3 million deal you were so proud of. You lost it. The client pulled out last week due to what they called unprofessional conduct and poor service. That was the final straw that led to your resignation. How do you know that? He demanded. Because I own the company. I have access to all personnel files, all client records, all performance reviews. I know exactly why you left. And I know it wasn't voluntary. Melissa found her voice. Jessica, this doesn't make sense. If you own a company worth $180 million. I don't own a company worth $180 million. I own a company worth $340 million. Morrison & Clark was a $180 million acquisition that adds to our existing portfolio. Strategic Solutions has been acquiring companies for years. Morrison & Clark is our 8th major acquisition. 8. Dad said, his voice strange. 8. We started small, boutique consulting firms, regional players. Built our reputation, built our capital. Each acquisition was strategic, each one grew our market share. Now we're one of the largest consulting firms in the country. We have 2,400 employees across 8 companies. Annual revenue is approximately $680 million. And yes, before you ask, I own 73% of it. My personal net worth is around $248 million. The silence was absolute. Mom's hand was pressed to her chest. Dad looked like he might need medical attention. Melissa's mouth was hanging open. Ryan was staring at me like I'd grown a second head. Travis looked devastated. You're lying. All of it. You have to be lying. I pulled out my phone and opened my email. Here's the press release going out Monday morning. Strategic Solutions, under the leadership of founder and CEO Jessica Park, announced today the acquisition of Morrison & Clark Consulting Group for $180 million. The acquisition positions Strategic Solutions as a dominant force in the corporate consulting sector. I showed him the screen. You can read the rest if you want. It goes on to list my credentials, my background, the company's growth trajectory. Why? He asked, his voice breaking. Why would you hide this? Why would you let us think you were struggling? I didn't hide it. I just didn't advertise it. And you never asked. None of you ever asked about my work. You asked if I was still at that little firm, but you never asked what the firm did. You never asked about my clients or my role or my success. You assumed I was failing because I didn't look successful by your standards. Your car, Melissa said weakly. Your apartment. Your clothes. My car runs perfectly fine. My apartment is paid off. I bought the building 6 years ago, by the way. And my clothes are comfortable. I don't need to impress anyone, so why would I waste money on designer labels? You bought your building? Mom repeated. I bought the building and renovated all 12 units. Rent from the other 11 covers the property taxes and maintenance. I live there free. Smart investing, Mom. Dad taught me that, actually. He always said real wealth is in assets, not appearances. Dad found his voice. You're really worth $248 million? Approximately. It fluctuates based on company valuations and market conditions. But yes, that's the current estimate. And you built this in 12 years? 11 years, actually. The first year I was just laying groundwork. Real growth started in year 2. Compound growth is powerful when you reinvest wisely. Why didn't you tell us? Mom asked, tears forming. Why let us worry about you? Because you didn't want to know. You wanted me to be the struggling sister. The charity case. It made you feel better about yourselves. I looked at each of them. Every family gathering you talk about your successes. Your deals, your promotions, your acquisitions. And then you turn to me with pity and ask if I was doing okay. I'd try to mention my work and you'd change the subject. You didn't want to hear about my success because it didn't fit your narrative. That's not true, Melissa protested weakly. It's completely true. 3 Christmases ago I mentioned acquiring a consulting firm in Denver. Dad literally interrupted me to ask if I'd thought about getting a real job. 2 years ago I tried to talk about expanding into the Midwest market. Travis told me I should focus on survival before thinking about growth. You shut me down every single time I tried to share my work. We didn't understand, Dad said. You didn't try to understand. You assumed. And honestly, after a while it was easier to let you assume. Easier than fighting for recognition I didn't actually need. But we're family, Mom said. We should have known. Should you? Because from where I'm sitting, family means something different to me than it does to you. To you, family means having things in common. Similar lifestyles, similar values, similar measures of success. I didn't fit that mold, so I became the charity case. The one to worry about. The one to fix. We were trying to help, Travis said, but his voice was hollow now. You were trying to make yourselves feel superior. There's a difference. I looked at him directly. You just offered me a $65,000 entry-level position at a company I own. You offered to supervise me, to mentor me, to teach me what real consulting looks like. Do you have any idea how insulting that is? I didn't know. No, you didn't. Because you never bothered to learn. You were so convinced of your own success and my failure that you never questioned it. What happens now? Dad asked quietly. With Morrison and Clark? With Travis. With Morrison and Clark, we move forward with the integration plan. The company needs restructuring, new leadership, better client relations. That's what Strategic Solutions does. We acquire struggling companies and fix them. With Travis. I looked at my brother. Your severance package is generous. You'll be fine. Will you hire me back? He asked, and I heard the desperation in his voice. No. Jessica, please. I'm your brother. I made mistakes, but I'm good at what I do. Give me another chance. You're not good at what you do. Your performance reviews show consistent issues with client relations, team management, and strategic thinking. You were promoted based on your last name and your relationship with the former CEO, not on merit. Morrison and Clark kept you longer than they should have out of loyalty to Dad's reputation in the industry. Travis looked like I'd slapped him. I'm not being cruel, I continued. I'm being honest. Something this family hasn't been with each other in years. You're not cut out for high-level consulting, Travis. You're good at sales, at relationship building, at the schmoozing part of business. But strategy? Implementation? You're not strong there. You'd be better off in a different role, maybe business development at a smaller firm. You're enjoying this, he said bitterly. You're enjoying destroying me. I'm not destroying you. I'm telling you the truth that everyone else was too polite to say. You've been failing upward for years, coasting on Dad's reputation and your own confidence. But eventually competence matters. Eventually results matter. You weren't producing results. This is cruel, Mom said, crying now. Jessica, this is your brother. I know who he is. He's the brother who just called me the family charity case. Who spent the last hour detailing all my failures. Who offered me an entry-level position like he was doing me a favor. I'm not being cruel, Mom. I'm holding up a mirror. What do you want from us? Melissa asked. An apology? I don't want anything from you. That's the point. I don't need your approval, your help, your pity, or your concern. I've built something extraordinary without any of it. What I wanted, what I've always wanted, was for you to see me. Actually see me. Not the version you created in your heads, but the real me. We see you now, Dad said. Do you? Or do you just see the money? Because I've been the same person for 12 years. The same work, the same values, the same goals. The only thing that changed is now you know about the bank account. If that's what it takes for you to respect me, then you don't actually respect me at all. That's not fair, Melissa said. It's completely fair. You respected Travis's success. You respected Dad's legacy. You respected wealth and status and visible achievement. But you didn't respect quiet competence. You didn't respect someone building something slowly and carefully without making noise about it. That says more about you than it does about me. The waiter appeared with menus, sensing the tension but maintaining professional ignorance. May I start you with drinks? Actually, I said, standing and grabbing my purse, I need to go. I have an early morning tomorrow conference call with the Morrison and Clark transition team. Jessica, wait, Dad said. Don't leave like this. Let's talk this through. There's nothing to talk through. You all made your feelings clear. I'm the charity case. The failure. The sister who needs help. And finding out I'm actually successful doesn't change those feelings. It just makes you embarrassed that you were wrong. That's not true, Mom protested. It is true. If it weren't, you would have noticed my success before. You would have asked questions. You would have paid attention. But you didn't because you didn't want to. And honestly, I'm tired of caring about that. I looked at Travis. Your severance package will be in your account by Friday. It's fair, more than fair actually. Use it wisely. Maybe start over somewhere that's a better fit for your skill set. Jessica. Happy birthday, Dad. I hope it was everything you wanted. I walked out of the Sterling Club while they were still sitting there, stunned into silence. My phone started ringing before I reached my car. First Mom, then Melissa, then Dad. I declined all the calls. When I got home to my apartment, my paid-off apartment in the building I owned, I poured myself a glass of wine and sat by the window. The city lights sparkled below, and somewhere out there Morrison and Clark employees were going home, unaware that Monday morning would bring news of new ownership. My phone buzzed. Davidson. Just wanted to check in, his text read. That sounded like a family dinner. Everything okay? Everything's fine, I typed back. They know now. How'd they take it? About as well as expected. Shock, denial, embarrassment. The usual. Want to grab a drink? Celebrate properly. I smiled. David had been with me since the beginning. He'd believed in strategic solutions when it was just me and a business plan. He'd worked for equity when we couldn't afford his salary. He'd stood by me through 8 acquisitions and countless late nights. He knew my worth before the numbers proved it. Tomorrow, I typed. Tonight I'm just going to sit here and enjoy the quiet. Fair enough. Congratulations again, Jessica. You earned this. All of it. I set down my phone and looked around my modest apartment. My furniture was comfortable but not expensive. My TV was 5 years old. My kitchen appliances were basic. Nothing here screamed success or wealth or achievement. But I'd built a $340 million consulting empire from this apartment. I'd acquired 8 companies, employed 2,400 people, and changed the trajectory of struggling businesses. I'd done it quietly, without fanfare, without needing anyone's approval. And I'd done it while my family called me the charity case. The irony wasn't lost on me. Tomorrow the press release would go out. Monday the business world would know Strategic Solutions had acquired Morrison and Clark. My name would be in headlines. My success would be public. And my family would have to reckon with the fact that they'd spent 12 years completely misunderstanding who I was. Part of me wanted to feel satisfaction. Vindication. Some kind of victory in proving them wrong. But mostly I just felt tired. Tired of being underestimated. Tired of being pitted. Tired of fighting for recognition from people who should have given it freely. My phone rang again. Dad this time. I almost didn't answer, but curiosity won. Hi, Dad. Jessica. His voice was heavy. I don't know what to say. You don't have to say anything. I do though. We all do. We were wrong about you. Completely, fundamentally wrong. And I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Thank you. Is it too late to fix this? To have a real relationship? I thought about it. About 12 years of being overlooked, of being dismissed, of being the family charity case. About watching them celebrate each other while ignoring me. About tonight, about Travis calling me out while I sat there and took it. I don't know, I said honestly. Maybe. But it would have to be different. Completely different. No more assumptions. No more condescension. No more treating me like I need saving. We can do that. We will do that. It's not just about doing it, Dad. It's about understanding why it's necessary. It's about recognizing that success looks different for different people. That someone can be successful without being loud about it. I understand that now. Do you? Or do you just understand that I have money? Because those are two very different things. He was quiet for a long moment. I think I'm starting to understand the difference. But it might take me time to fully get there. That's fair. Took me 12 years to build this company. You can take some time to understand it. Will you come to Sunday dinner next week? Let us try again. I'll think about it. That's all I can ask. Jessica, I'm proud of you. I should have said that years ago. I should have seen what you were building. I'm proud of you. Thank you, Dad. That means more than you know. After we hung up, I sat in the quiet of my apartment and let myself feel it. The exhaustion, the vindication, the sadness, the satisfaction. All of it mixed together in a complicated knot I'd probably spend months untangling. But underneath it all was something solid. Something that had been there for 12 years, growing stronger every day. I knew my worth. I'd always known my worth. I'd built something extraordinary not to prove them wrong, but because I believed I could do it. Their opinions, their assumptions, their pity, their condescension, had never actually mattered. Not really. But having them finally see me clearly, having them finally understand what I'd built, that felt pretty damn good. Even if it did take a $180 million acquisition to get there. Tomorrow I'd call David and we'd celebrate properly. Monday we'd announce the acquisition and begin the integration process. Next week maybe I'd go to Sunday dinner and start the complicated process of rebuilding relationships with people who'd spent 12 years not seeing me. But tonight I was just Jessica Park. 34 years old. CEO of a $340 million consulting empire. Owner of Morrison & Clark. Former family charity case. And I'd never felt more successful in my life.